Hey, everybody, welcome to Mondays with Mike. Can you believe it is September the 18th already? I can't. Cannot believe how fast this year has gone by. Time flies when you're having fun, especially when it was 100 degrees and 105 degrees and just so hot all summer long. We finally got a break, a major break with the first below average temperature day that we've had in about 2.5 months. So that happened with the rain that came down the end of last week. So happy Monday to you. Got two mugs I want to show you today. So, of course, we have Gary the snail. Not looking too happy here on this Monday. We also have this. So, Wake Up Warriors. So that's something that we do on Wake Up with Sally Mack and Lena, which is every day from 4 a.m. till 7 a.m., followed by Houston's morning show from 7 to 10. So as part of the show, Sally and Lena had a great idea, which was, yes, we wake up early, but a lot of you also wake up early. And so we wanted to highlight some folks who are up early and sort of highlight, what are you doing up so early? And are you heading to work? Are you exercising? What are you up to? So if you are an early morning viewer, if you're a super early riser, or there actually have been a couple people whose shift is ending at that time, like graveyard shift, and they come home and just watch the news for a little while before they go to bed. If you fall into that category, you could take a picture of yourself doing what you do in the morning, getting ready, heading off to work, maybe posing at work. And you could send it to Sally's Facebook page. If you post it to mine, I won't see it. She looks for it on her page. So it's Sally MacDonald, M-A-C, not McDonald, but MacDonald, Fox 26. So if you want to be a wake up warrior, and I do think that some people get these mugs. It's a nice mug. It's yellow on the inside and all that. It's a fancy mug. They gave me one because I'm a wake up warrior. So anyway, hope everybody had a good weekend. Big football weekend. The Texans tried, I think the quarterback looks great. We have no running game and we have no offensive line, but I think he looked great. Defense, gave up a lot of points, but CJ Stroud, I think, looked really good. Let's see, the Dolphins won. Florida State Seminoles won, but just barely. We had a lot of trouble with Boston College for some reason. And yes, Sunday turned out to be a really beautiful day. It was 95 degrees, was pretty hot. So I wanted to show you this, share a few things with you here, sort of what I'm looking at right now. And one of the things was what I mentioned a moment ago, which was that we had our first below average day in many months. And so when you look back, so this is temperatures and rainfall for each day of the month. So I'm going to highlight the 14th here, which of course was Thursday. And we had a high of 86 degrees. 86. Now remember, look at previously in the month, we were 106 on the 8th of September. We were 86 on the 14th, and that was the lowest high temperature that we had since June 6th. So it was more than 3 months since we had actually had a high temperature that was that cool. We also, by the way, had 2.2 inches of rain at Bush Airport, and we had a lot of spots that received even more than that. In fact, let me call up this website, Harris County, because I did see some pretty impressive rainfall totals here. And I wanted to just let you know who got the most, because it's kind of interesting to see that, right? Everybody wants to know who's the big winner. Let me click past all this. Why are they making me look at all this? Okay. I don't want to look at all. Oh, close. That's what I was looking for. All right. I want to show you who the big winners were. We're going to go ahead and just plop this all together for the last 7 days and show you who were the huge winners. I know that I saw, if you live in the Clear Lake area, it was a deluge. Let's see. We had the biggest rainfall total I saw was right here, right on Clear Lake, Armand Bayou. at Pasadena Lake. So this is basically here along, right along Clear Lake here. This is NASA Parkway, NASA Road 1. I guess that's, yeah, it's over there right past the Space Center. 7.84 inches of rain since Thursday. So it really was just Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So in 3 days, you had almost 8 inches of rain. You'll see here, this is the bridge, the Kemah Seabrook Bridge that goes over Clear Lake, 6.8 inches of rain. Pretty good rain elsewhere too. This is the Pearland Friendswood area. Let's see. Yeah, right there, 5 inches of rain. We had, let's see, over in Fort Bend, we had some decent downpours. It doesn't look like quite as much, but down here in the Brazos Bend State Park area, Greatwood area, was about 2 inches. Some of you missed out on it. Waller County, you had about half an inch of rain. So, you know, you can't win them all. The Woodlands, we had some totals here, 3.4. Let's see, 3.6. The Spring area, 4.4. So I think you get the idea. There were some really pretty good downpours across the area. And in all, we did have some spots getting over half a foot of rain between the few rounds of rain that we had Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So got a lot going on there. Now, in the wake of the rain, I wanted to talk about what I expect to happen next. Now, I am not a bug scientist, but I've been around long enough to know how these mosquito cycles work. All right. So what I've pulled up here actually is, this is from Texas A&M, and this is their AgriLife extension. So mosquito eggs, if there's no water around, they can stay dormant. And in fact, they can stay dormant for a long time, months, I think even years. And but in this case, there just hasn't been enough rain around for a couple of months. A lot of spots had no rain for 2 months or more than 2 months. So now with the heavy rain coming down, there are puddles. There are going to be, you know, tires and buckets and bird baths, and just, you know, all kind of stuff around puddles where these larvae are going to start to grow. And I predict that late this week, we're going to start to see an explosion in the mosquito population. So you let me know, do you think Mosquito-mageddon or the Mosquito-pocalypse? So I don't know. I'm thinking about Mosquito-pocalypse. Or maybe you have a different idea. Let me know. Mosquito-mageddon or Mosquito-pocalypse, because I expect that. So Texas A&M has some tips for controlling mosquitoes around the home. So, oh, and this is so gross to read these things too. So the egg stage, mosquito eggs may be laid individually or in clusters on the surface of water or in dry locations that are subject to periodic flooding. So if they lay the eggs and it doesn't dry, see, it says right here, many months. So a mosquito might have laid eggs back in May or June. They've been sitting there waiting for the rain the whole time. So once it rains, they enter the larva stage, where they wiggle around. And then, you know, after a few days, they become pupas. This is the word, pupa. Anyway, then they're adults and they go out and they try to drink your blood and all that stuff. Adult mosquitoes typically live for a week to a month. That's too long for me, because if they get into your house, they could be there for a couple of weeks, tormenting you, terrorizing you, making you afraid to sleep. They do get into the house too. So here's the advice from Texas A&M University. Reduce standing water outside that provides breeding sites. So we're talking about old tires, because you know you have old tires laying around the house. You know you do. Get rid of those old tires, buckets, cans, bottles, flower pots, bird baths, rain gutters. I mean, all this stuff that's sitting outside, that's just a breeding ground for the larvae and the pupas and the kids. pools, you know, inflatable pools and stuff. Those plastic pools are in the backyard, and that's a breeding ground too. Any holes you have in your yard, they say to eliminate those sites. Mow your tall grass because, you know, they like to hide around in there. There are fog treatments you can buy. I know I've had luck with the Cutter outdoor fogger. If you're going to be outside, you can go out there and just you just bomb the place, and then you're good for a couple of hours at least. It works really well. There are natural products. I've tried natural products. It's like a peppermint oil and different wintergreen kind of smell, and I don't mind it at all. The children seem to not, well, I call them children, they're big girls now, but they don't like it. They're like, what does that smell? I'm like, what? That's natural mosquito repellent. Would you rather me spray hazardous poison all over the place? Apparently the answer is yes. Okay. Obviously avoid contact with the mosquitoes, right? We got to watch the animals too. In fact, I'm so bad about this. I need to get Pippin and Goose and maybe Jelly, but I need to get Pippin and Goose like a flea repellent. They have treatments that treat fleas, ticks, and repel mosquitoes also. So you might want to look into that. Avoid dusk and dawn. That's when they tend to be out there feeding the most. Okay. To achieve effective long-term mosquito control, you need to use several management techniques. The best technique is to move to Alaska. That's the best technique. All right. Let's get to hurricane season. Talk about hurricane season. We have another hurricane out there. This one is called Nigel. I cannot talk about Nigel without thinking of Nigel Tufnell, of course, the guitarist for Spinal Tap. And I keep waiting for an 11 to pop up so that I could say that Nigel has gone to 11. Unfortunately, right now it's moving at 10 knots, which is 12 miles per hour. So there's no 11 there for me to talk about. Although this is the 11 a.m. advisory. I might have to tweet that out. So where's Nigel going? Nowhere near us. So we're in good shape. It's really going to accelerate. It's going to speed up and become very strong here over the next couple of days. It's probably going to be at least a Cat 3 hurricane, if not more. But as it gets caught up in the really strong steering currents coming in from the west, the westerly jet stream, it's going to get pushed away. And in fact, there's a good chance that coming up by this weekend, it's going to bring some really squally, kind of cold, windy weather to Ireland, to Scotland, maybe to England as well. So that's going to be interesting to see. These things become extra tropical, you know, this time of the year, and then especially October, and they end up bringing some really, you know, pretty bad windstorms to northern Europe. So that's what's going on with Nigel. Not a concern for us. The only other thing we're going to watch here, well, two other things. One is this yellow area off the east coast of the U.S., and that is an area that the models have been sort of. There's an old front that's just draped there. It's going to sit there and fester for a few days. And so a lot of times that'll just spin up a little area of low pressure. It might bring some rain to South Carolina, North Carolina. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Probably would not have any effect on Texas. And then elsewhere, there's this large red area that the Hurricane Center gives a 70% chance of development. That one is going to be one. We could take a look at that on the, here's our GFS computer model outlook. Middle of your screen there is that I'm circling here is Nigel. So as we look ahead, and I'm just going to zip through this days and days and days at a time. You see that little L forming there? I mean, it's not even much to look at. This is Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. The GFS kind of loses it. So, but there could end up being a tropical depression or a tropical storm there. But it's going to take about another 5 days at least for anything real interesting to happen. And then that's it. You know, even the longer term view of our part of the world, you know, heading into the Gulf of Mexico or anything like that, it just doesn't look that active right now. So it's not to say that we're completely out of the woods. No, I mean, don't want to write it off yet, especially since it may be a weird year. I wouldn't be surprised if we had some October activity in the Gulf of Mexico simply because the water is still so warm. We haven't really had any systems. We had Idalia that was over in the Eastern Gulf. That's the one that hit Florida. We had Harold, which was in South Texas, but it was relatively small. And so the water is still very warm. It hasn't had that much of the energy sort of sapped out of it yet. We also haven't had that much rain, so that hasn't cooled down the top layer of the water either. So it may be that in an ordinary year, we could pretty much cut everything off on October the 15th or 16th. We've just never had a hurricane strike that late in the season in Texas, at least not on record, in over the last 100+ years. But this year, we just can't discount it just because it's so warm out there. So that is what is going on in the Atlantic. Okay, finally, the first day of fall. The first day of fall is coming up on Saturday. It's what we call the autumnal equinox. And it is when it's actually defined as the exact moment that the sun's rays shine directly on the equator. Equinox is Latin for equal night. And it basically means that the entire Earth has the same length of day, the same 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of nighttime. And so we'll continue as we head toward December. Sunrise will keep getting later, sunset will keep getting earlier, and our amount of daylight will keep getting shorter and shorter and shorter, which helps to cool us off and helps to, I don't like it. I like when the sun stays out a little bit. So that is what's coming up. So that is on Saturday morning, very early on Saturday morning, the 23rd. It's like at 2 a.m. Basically, it's Friday night is when the autumn season begins. So I hope you all had a great weekend. We're hoping that the Texans can, continue to improve, continue to make strides. We got the Astros. They've, done well lately, and they've kind of done shaky the last couple of series, but they're going to do fine. And that's it. Weather-wise, this week looks pretty quiet. It's going to be hot, actually. Probably middle 90s each day this week, if not low 90s. It's like 92 to 95 each day this week. It's going to stay pretty hot. A few showers by late this week, but not much. So let me know, Mosquito-mageddon or Mosquito-pocalypse? You let me know. Hey, thanks for watching Mondays with Mike here. Hope you all have a great Monday. Shout out to Neil and my mom watching from South Florida. And I'll see y'all soon.